The acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has officially handed over the first part of the state capture inquiry report to President Cyril Ramaphosa. Zondo says he'll hand over the second part of the report at the end of the month and the final part at the end of February. In the meantime, the first part has revealed some damning information regarding several state-owned entities. eNCA reporters Heidi Jokos and Aviwe Mtila have been working through the document. And Aviwe joins us now to give us an update on what he has been focusing on. I believe, Aviwe, you have been focusing on the South African Revenue Services. What are the highlights that are coming out from that part of the report?
Yes, Pratula, South African Revenue Service is not spared from the brunt of state capture. We found out how it was weakened by the private sector colluding with some of the executives in SARS, as well as former President Jacob Zuma, just to make it weaker. We understand the deliberate weakening of it, and even the appointment of Tom Moyane as a commissioner was announced by former President Jacob Zuma before it was officially appointment. That's not the only appointment that raised eyebrows. Also, Bain & Co., the consultancy company, we do understand they were in meetings with Tom Moyane as well as former President Jacob Zuma before they even received the tender, or the tender went out. We do understand it was clear from the get-go that they would receive the contract. In fact, they're not the only company that I've been looking at. Also, the allegations around the TNA Media, the Gupta-owned media company. We do understand there that the state-owned entities such as Eskom, Transnet and South African Airways all did businesses with this particular media company that was unjustified public spending. We do understand. You remember that TNA Media owns the New Age newspaper, as well as those big breakfasts that happened, the New Age breakfast, I beg your pardon, that happened at the South African Broadcasting Corporation between 2011 and 2017. Now, money was channeled there from these state-owned entities to fund advertisement basically in TNA Media, as well as fund that breakfast show. Not only there, we do understand the GSI budget, some of that 600 million rand annual budget was also channeled to TNA Media. One person that stood up for this, Thabo Maseko, the CEO of GSI, back in 2010, was fired after he had refused some of these meetings with the Guptas and some of the directives, even in phone calls from former President Jacob Zuma. Just today, Bratulas, I took out to the South African, to the Golden Square Mile of South Africa, Sandton, just to find out voices on the ground, what they think now that it is quite clear that there has been state capture and people fingered. Do they think that there will be arrests made and government will actually have teeth to go after some of these people? This is what they had to say.
I think it's worth it because people deserve the right to know what's happening, but whether there's going to be any implication is a different discussion.
People could, you could use Marikana as another example. Same thing, years, money, effort, people. What happened? Nothing.
I think it was all worth it. South Africans deserved to know what is happening behind the scenes, who's been taking money out of our coffers and so forth. So it was well worth it. I mean, I think Zondo Commission did a great job. Zondo himself did a great job. Although there was a lot of things they wanted to tarnish his name and so forth, but I think he stood his ground and did very well.
Well, if someone actually looks at it and gives attention to it, yes. But for now, no. I mean, I think at this point in time, we're just overexpanded in South Africa. We've got too many things going on, too many loopholes, too many things that's not being closed down and looked after.
I think it was worth it, and I think more than anything else as a deterrent. You know, I think a lot of people now are more, aware of what happened and are more concerned about the possible repercussions. Something might happen to them. So I think from that point of view, I think it was it's something that we have to go through.
The actions will prove whether it's been worth it or not. If they take action, then it would be worth it. So,
Aviwe, that's the general sentiment about the value of the investigation that has taken place and has now is coming to a conclusion by the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. But what about the whole issue of arrests and prosecutions? What's the sentiment out there about whether or not people believe that arrests and prosecution will follow?
Well, they're quite disheartened in that front. A different sentiment that you'll hear from the previous bites that you just heard now that talk to the worthiness of the State Capture Commission. You do understand on the 9th of January, it will mark 4 years since it was announced, and 3 years of work essentially led us to the part one that we saw yesterday. And what you just heard now, just those voices on the ground saying whether it was worth it or not. Of course, you heard those sentiments. But the more stricter decisions, the more stricter and tougher sentiments are the ones that you're about to hear when it comes to whether government has the teeth to go after the people that have been implicated in this. You do understand that report mentioning some of those facilitators. Zwandile Manyi, one of them, mentioned there as a facilitator that took over TNA Media after Themba Maseko was fired as the CEO. Another facilitator from Transnet that was mentioned there was Brian Molefe as a facilitator that allowed all these dealings and the alleged corruption that we do now know has been unearthed, allowed those. So I asked the people on the ground, do you believe that government will really have teeth and go after these people? This is the answers that we got on the ground.
They won't arrest them. It's just, I don't know if I can say they're just wasting our tax money, I don't know. But no, they won't arrest them. It's just wasting our time for nothing.
Normally it just dies and nobody says anything afterwards. So we really do hope that something will happen to the people who's responsible for it.
Come on, this is the South African government, and how we live in this world is full of corruption. So why would there be accountability and responsibility taken when there's no one when there is problems? Do you know what I mean? There's no one to look at, there's no one to point at. So yeah, I mean, do we expect differently though?
There's been so many cases where they've taken money and stolen money and whatever the case may be, and nothing's really happened, no reprimand, nothing, you know. So yes, they've done well because they've shown people what's actually happened, but I don't necessarily think that people are going to get a slap on the hand.
They don't have a heart for this nation, to tell you the truth. If they did, they would have sorted it out a long time ago. There's a lot of things on crime they could have sorted out, but they haven't. So the state capture is another one that shows that they're not hard on certain issues that are of utter importance for this nation to move forward.
Yeah, certainly the organs of states are starting to come right. I think most of the organs of states are being rebuilt, if I may put it that way. So yeah, things will start to turn around. I've got trust in Cyril and the people that have been appointed in those organs of states.
Yeah, I don't see. There's no such a thing as justice. You know, if there was justice, everybody would be in jail by now. So it's just, well, just keeping people busy. That's all. News and stuff.
All right, Aviwe, thank you for that, and we'll catch up with you a bit later on. That's eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila. He's reading through the over 800 pages long report while engaging with ordinary South Africans as well to just gauge sentiment. You heard the people really skeptical about the prospects of implementation of the recommendations, certainly as far as they relate to prosecutions of people. Who can blame the people? Who can blame the people?